Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Nick Cage Fight podcast, where none of us are really big runners, but will consent to a moderately paced jog with the devil. I'm one of your hosts, Josh, joined as always by Rich and Ryan. Are we ready to wrap up this film?
Yeah, I think so. And also, I think I could do like 100-yard dash with the devil, but after that, I'm smoked.
I'll speed walk with the devil like that episode of Malcolm in the Middle. Get one of those stupid bodysuits and the fucking xenomorph helmet.
Yeah, the big swoopy helmet.
Yeah.
Look, honestly, at this point in my life, I used to say it as a joke when I was younger, but now it's become a hard rule for me. I will run when I'm being chased. Otherwise, I'm in the same camp as Donald Trump, where I feel like you have a limited amount of running that you can do in your life before you just fall over and die. So I'm only going to use it when it's necessary.
And Josh will live to be 160.
Maybe. I hope I don't get chased a whole lot. So we last left our intrepid hero several kilos of cocaine. It was getting ready to depart Colombia. We actually see the coke getting loaded onto a boat, and a man boards at the last moment, making a handoff of a envelope stamped with the little dancing devil dude to the captain before being admitted on board. Now, I'm going to tell you, this dude was a little bit confusing to me because, again, he shows up after the coke is loaded onto the boat, takes a ride, and is essentially useless to the overall process because the captain is also handling this leg of the transportation.
I think they're both just there for the liver and onions joke.
Yes,
I think that's why they exist.
That makes sense.
Liver and onions. What's your opinion on that? I love that shit.
I do too.
I've actually never had liver and onions.
The dude I was watching the movie with, he was like, "Nah, fuck that. Liver and onions, nasty." I love it. It's got a very distinct flavor. I think the onions really bring out the not gaminess, but like almost bloody flavor of the liver. Liver and onions is good.
I've only had chicken liver once, and I remember not liking it, but it's also 15 years ago, so I'm willing to give it another shot.
Did you have it at a hibachi joint? Did you get it as the appetizer?
No, I forget where I had it.
Okay.
I actually have a pretty good chicken liver recipe. The chicken liver hearts and gizzards and like a stir fry. It's pretty good.
Yeah. Liver, if it honestly, I get people avoiding it for a texture thing, but otherwise, liver is just like concentrated flavor of whatever animal it came from with a little bit of an iron-ish bite because of the blood content.
And it takes butter and garlic like nobody's business.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hyper concentrated meat flavor. I highly recommend it. Don't avoid weird foods. You're missing out. Liver is solid. Tongue is another solid one.
Fucking lengua tacos are some of my favorite.
Hell yeah. If you ever find yourself at a legitimate taqueria, fucking get the lengua tacos. They're good.
Without a doubt.
Yep.
Tripe too. Love tripe.
Tripe is solid too. I don't like some of the ways that the Italians prepare it, but I do like it in other circumstances.
Hey, we prepare everything immaculately. We just pour a bunch of tomato paste on it.
Hey, the acidity of tomatoes doesn't sit super well with me.
Well, that's why you got to drop the carrot in.
I love some tripe in pho on occasion.
Oh yeah, it melts right into that broth.
Hell yeah. So this is also where we get an update in the price per kilo as the coke is transported to Mexico. It jumps to $8K per kilo. The captain and the stranger who got on with the envelope hand off the envelope to another guy who gets in a truck and travels from Veracruz up to Monterrey. So we cut to a different truck being stopped at a lone police car checkpoint. The men in this truck kill the cops and take their uniforms. They're changed into them by the time our Devil Brand Coke truck driver shows up. The truck driver takes out one of the fake cops. Like they come up on the vehicle, they request papers. The cocaine transporting truck driver pulls a gun, shoots the fake cop outside his driver's side window. His partner is approaching from the passenger side, but the cook and the executioner show up just in time and take out the second fake police officer and then send the truck on its way before continuing to follow them in a station wagon.
And this is another guy who is in Yellowstone.
Who?
The Mexican truck driver.
Oh shit. I did not know that.
Yeah,
He
he
did
was
not
in
hit housekeeping for us.
he was in one episode as the mean cowboy.
Oh shit. I could see that.
Oh, he was also in
He
310 to Yuma. Okay.
he
Oh, that's a
also
good ass western.
he also rocks a cowboy hat in this, so I could see how he could get typecast. The
Yeah, he's
driver,
very good. Like I just before we continue, he's very good in this movie as far as I'm
he is
concerned.
his bit is short but solid. Like he brings a lot of personality to this weird ass character. I think he does a good job. But
Yeah.
the driver stops at a motel, hides the kilos in the vent to his room, a la No Country for Old Men, before hitting the strip club. And then him and a stripper, do a bunch of coke and bang.
So
Good for them.
when I saw this scene, I thought it was the saddest shit to be the only person in a fucking strip club. There's probably nothing sadder on this earth than being the single customer in a strip club.
Yeah, but you got to figure with like his schedule for delivery, it had to be like midday on a Tuesday. There's only one stripper working,
Fucking
One
11
stripper,
a.m. on a Tuesday.
one bartender, and nobody else in the joint.
That's right.
So what we cut to next is, in my opinion, one of the weirdest scenes in the film because it is out of place. It doesn't make sense to the overall context of the story, and it actually really just throws mud on a couple of things that we've seen so far. And it's the boss at a dinner sit down with an important looking guy that I can only assume is the president of Mexico or
I think he's
some
just like a
other high
politician.
ranking official. He does say specifically his generals. Who do the generals answer to other than the president?
Well, okay, I don't want to say Mexico's weird because that is the wrong words, but I do know that it's like a bit tribal where I think that like the like senators and stuff will have like people in their pocket, so maybe he is referring to that, but we can read it as president, that's fine.
President, or maybe like high up in the military itself. I don't know. We don't get a whole lot of information about it, but essentially it looks like the boss is trying to smooth over some of the issues they might have been having with attempted thefts or military crackdown
Yeah, I mean,
on their
Mexico
shipments.
is not really great at governing. I mean, there's a whole part of Mexico that's not Mexico because like the Zapistas or whatever they're called are like down in southern Mexico just hanging out, being like, hey, this is an anarchist place.
Yeah, I'm honestly, I have no idea. I'm completely ignorant when it comes to that. But either way, it is a bit of a weird scene, especially with the inclusion of that Mexican military takedown of one of the drug trucks in the beginning of the film, which again, they never go back to. This is as close as they get to going back to it, and it still doesn't really clear anything up.
Yeah.
So we cut back to the driver the next morning, and a man comes to his room and he kicks the stripper out, but appears to have made a solid impression because she says she'll call him. And the driver hands over the kilos in the backpack to the man, and the price per kilo increases to 10,000. This man gets in a little van and takes off. At some point, he stops to hit up a club. He meets a young man at the bar, takes him into the bathroom, and gives him a bump straight from one of the kilos. The boy pulls a knife on him and steals the kilo. They do a little bit of a distracty run. Somebody else comes in and stops the van driver from pursuing the young man, who tosses the kilo to another young man who exits the club and runs off.
And this part of the movie makes no sense, and we'll get into why in about 90 seconds.
So the van driver grabs his backpack and tries to follow, and the man who ends up with the stolen kilo runs right by the cook and the executioner parked in their station wagon on the road outside the club. Back to the man in the van. He is driving and he arrives at a ranch property of some sort. He continues on foot before dropping the bag when he's chased by a dog. A man exits the sort of mansion on the ranch property at some point later and finds the van driver hiding in the tree, a tree where he climbed to get away from the dog. This is the intended recipient of the kilos of cocaine. So the man retrieves his bag, and him and the ranch owner go and weigh out the drugs. And the ranch owner comments that the load is a little short, And this has happened a few times, but reassures the van guy that it's fine and invites him to eat. The
Okay,
ranch.
this is the part that makes no sense because
Okay.
he's weighing the kilos and he weighs the 1 kilo and it's a kilo, and he weighs the second kilo and it's like a bit off. And he's like, now this is not the first time this has happened. Does he not notice the one whole missing kilo?
Well,
Apparently not.
it's funny because we learn in a minute that he is aware of where that other kilo is and what's going on. But really what he does is just give the dude shit over the bump that he took out of it for the guy in the bathroom of the club. But he invites the man to sit down and have a meal of a pig that this man has apparently smoked for 20 hours. I don't know
Sounds
anything about
delicious.
smoking meat, but I do know that smoked pork in general is delicious. So they sit down to eat, and the ranch owner takes a bite and then says, something is missing. It's sauce. I'm going to go get sauce. So he leaves the table. And now as a viewer, I'm like, oh, he's definitely going to get something and fuck this dude up. The van owner seems relatively unperturbed, but he does look back into the ranch where through the window we see the ranch owner like pull up a bottle of sauce. And when the van guy turns back to his plate, he pulls a knife out of a butcher's block and proceeds back outside, goes ahead and puts some sauce on the man's plate for him, standing slightly behind him. The guy goes, oh, that's enough. That's enough. And then the ranch owner cuts his throat from behind with the knife and then sits down and with the same knife proceeds to cut his own pork on his plate, which is fucking amazing. Great, badass scene. This guy
a
is
very
terrifying.
good scene. And then also when he goes into his house, you see as he walks in, there's another dead body just hanging in the door.
No, not quite. Not quite. We're almost there.
Okay, sorry.
Almost there.
Sorry.
So what happens after this execution is out of another door, the cook and the executioner come out and place the remaining stolen kilo on the picnic table. And inside that room, we see the guy who took off with the stolen kilo strung up with most of his torso removed and clearly dead.
Oh, that's who that I thought it was just a random body. I didn't realize that was him.
Yeah, the cook and the executioner took out the dude who ran off with the kilo from the snatch and grab scheme at the club.
Gotcha.
So the ranch owner orders up a new delivery guy who shows up and is given a bag with all of the kilos of cocaine and gets on a bus with the stash.
Hold on, because the scene was very funny and I don't want to gloss over it. The guy shows up and the ranch owner with the knife in hand is like, who are you? Who are you? And the guy's just like, I'm the delivery guy. And he's like, oh, why didn't you say so? And he like puts his arm around him. Come in, come in. As they walk past the dead body. And the dude is just completely like, he doesn't even notice it. It's just a day in the life.
Well, I'm assuming that guy got some of that smoked pork.
I hope so.
This delivery dude does seem nervous basically every time he's on screen, which is fair because the ranch owner, despite the fact that we have a character named the Executioner, is one of the most terrifying characters in the entirety of the film. The very casual violence and murder that this guy perpetrates with a smile on his face, talking up his fucking smoked pig. Solid character, truly.
Yeah.
And done in the span of 5 minutes. So full credit. So the new delivery guy takes the stash and travels from Monterey on his way to Tecate. I think that's how you pronounce it. And unfortunately, the bus. What was that?
The beer city. There's a
beer
car.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The bus gets caught in a checkpoint line. The bus is directed to pull off to the side. If you've ever gone through a DUI checkpoint and they look in the car and they wave you over, that's what's going on here. Quick fun aside, that happened to me several years ago on the night of St. Patrick's Day. And I was specifically dragged out to a bar that was like 30 minutes away from my house. And I have no sense of direction. So I was just going off of GPS. And on my way to the bar, there was a DUI checkpoint. And I got waved through. And I went to the bar and I knew I wouldn't be able to navigate a different route back to my home. So I was stuck at a bar for 2 hours and limited myself to one beer, which sucked. On the way home, I got stopped at the DUI checkpoint again, and they pulled me over. And so I get pulled over, and a cop comes to my window and is like, have you been drinking tonight? I was like, I had one beer 2 hours ago. And he's like, everybody says that. And I was like, yeah, but you saw me drive through here 2 hours ago, and I don't have a sense of direction. I knew I was coming back here. I'm not a stupid person. And he's like, all right, well, and he walks away to run my papers, and there's a knock on my passenger side window, and there's another cop. And he like indicates to roll down the window, so I do. And he leans in my car, and he's like, you got any drugs in here? It's like, no. And he's like, all right. Anyway, they eventually let me go. But I was
here's an ad break for maybe some drugs.
There you go.
Another ad break is come and gone, and another ad break where I forgot to mention the Patreon. Patreon.com/NickCageFight. Okay, now the ad break is over. After I tell you that, do you not want to listen to these ads? Or, well, not hit the fast forward button like 6 times and then like miss the first 10 seconds of what we say and have to go back. And it's a whole thing. We all do it. Subscribe to our $3 a month Patreon to get these episodes without any ads. That's it. That's the pitch. We're done.
There you go. And if you don't subscribe, we're gonna add even more ads.
Oh, we're talking a third ad break.
You think YouTube videos are fucking annoying? Just wait.
Just wait till every 4 minutes you're gonna get 3 ads for the Amish, gold, and
gas station dick pills.
Yes, and gas station dick pills.
So the bus gets pulled off to the side, and it looks like the special agent not in charge he drew the short straw and ended up in Mexico. He's just sitting at a random table they set up on the side of the road, not participating in any of the search shit at all. The passengers are pulled off, and the bus driver gives one of the military guys the devil stamped envelope. He opens it up, and the only thing that you can see, there's some assumption that money is in there, but the only thing that you can see clearly is a pink ribbon. So coincidentally, the bag with all of the cocaine in it has a pink ribbon prominently tied on one of its handles. So all of the passengers file off. They line their bags up on the side of the road, and the Mexican military members bring a dog around to check the various bags. The dog passes by the cocaine bag and marks on the bag right next to it, which is some leather satchel belonging to a random lady with no drugs in it.
That we know of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they check it, and then they give her bag back, and everybody gets back on the bus, and they take off. So the cook and the executioner are following right behind the bus in their little station wagon. But the delivery guy makes it all the way to Tecate, goes to a motel room where the cook and the executioner are with another man. The coke is tested again at this point, still good. Cut to special agent not in charge, where this is a very weird scene. He's in some kind of like barracks tent, and he's playing guitar, and the military guy who took the devil envelope comes in looking very sweaty. The agent approaches him, flicks his chest pocket, and you hear the flick against the envelope. He pulls it out and sees the devil insignia on it. Cut to another scene where like the military dude is sort of like beat up and tied to a chair and shirtless, and there's a higher ranking military guy sort of shaking his head, but he calls special agent actually in charge and lets her know that he thinks the drugs got through. They lost track of it. They missed it. Right. So special agent in charge goes in to check on the snitch, who is getting the full Guantanamo Bay torture treatment at this point. He's still chained up, still in his underwear, but they got like music blaring. He's blindfolded. It's fucked up. This is this scene. I was like, what the fuck is going on here? How is this allowed?
Yeah, over 2 overdoses in the suburbs. Like, let's not forget about that. This is over 2 overdoses in the suburbs.
I mean, and by the end of the movie, it's played like the DEA are the good guys, because torture is good and cool.
Well, it's Patriot films.
I don't even think the DEA could get away. Like the CIA, yeah.
Yeah, fucking NSA, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah, I couldn't
DHS,
tell if
maybe.
I couldn't tell if this was a commentary on torture or if we were supposed to be like, fuck yeah, this is how we win the war on drugs. Like,
By
I
torturing
couldn't
the
tell.
Hebrew Hammer? No.
But also, if it was the CIA, they wouldn't be bothering with any of this. They'd be taking a cut of the cocaine money
Yeah.
and protecting the fucking cartel structure.
Yeah, and using that money to, like, I don't know, embargo Cuba or something.
Well, overthrow a government somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
A democratically elected government, correct? Yes.
Yeah, wherever they found a whole bunch of lithium recently, that place. That's probably next on the list. Anyway, it makes no fucking sense. Just throwing that out there. But we cut back to the dude whose job it is to get the coke across the border. He meets with the pilot of a puddle jumper who lays out the plan. They're going to fly out over international water, out of Mexico, and then come in under radar level into Death Valley in the United States. So border cross guy is on the plane and then jumps from the plane when they're over Death Valley and parachutes down with the coke, where the cook has set up like a nice little camp. He's got a campfire going. He hunted up some rabbits.
Which is not where I thought that was going when he starts assembling that gun.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, no, he hunts some desert hare and makes a nice coney stew, waiting for the dude who gets the coke across. That's pretty cool. Very hospitable of them. The price per kilo at this point is up to 21,000. Good for them. The cook tests the quality once more. Everything's fine. So at this point, we cut back to the man, and the cook calls him and tells him they're on for the day after tomorrow. Back to the snitch and the Airbnb version of Guantanamo Bay. Agent in charge facilitates him taking a call from the man, telling him that they're on for the day after tomorrow. The man books a motel room with another prostitute, and the agent in charge is waiting outside the motel, scoping it out with the snitch in the car. She gives the snitch like a phone and some sort of tracking device, and then she goes and knocks on the door of the motel room that the man is in and tells him it's time to make a deal. From here,
no other explanation.
Nope. We cut away. The man and the snitch are both back at the man's place on the couch when the cook comes in. The man and the snitch have to get ready for them to leave, and the cook snatches a baggie of cocaine off of the coffee table and excuses himself to the bathroom and tests it. The test looks bad. Basically, every time he's tested it so far, he shakes it in a little vial and the liquid remains clear. This time he does it and it turns blood red to indicate that it's bad. Something has happened. Some visual storytelling for you. So it seems that the cook has found where the problem in the supply chain is. He checks his revolver in the bathroom, and then the man, the snitch, and the cook all get in a car and drive to a gas station. The snitch and the man go into the gas station while the cook pumps some gas. But the snitch left his phone in the back seat of the car, and it goes off. I think it's funny that his text ringtone is a duck quacking. I don't know why I think that's funny, but
it's definitely funny.
Yeah, it stood out to me when I saw the scene, so I'm including it for you guys.
I mean, ducks are the funniest birds, so
this is true. So the cook checks the phone, and it's clearly a text message explaining that there's going to be a pickup of them and their vehicle at a certain point up the road from here. So the cook pulls the battery and the SIM card from the phone. And when the man and the snitch come out, the cook says he's going to drive. He's getting a little car sick. I didn't know that driving a car helps with car sickness, but
yes, it does, because I am one of these people where if somebody else is driving, if they're not driving the way that I normally drive, I will get car sick. Huh. But if I'm driving, I'm fine. So as somebody who understands that, it makes perfect sense to me.
Well, there you go. A little bit of realism there. So the cook is driving, the snitch is in the passenger seat, and the man is in the back seat. The snitch starts like rooting around pockets and shit like that. It's clear to the viewer he can't find his phone, but when questioned, he pulls out a shitty excuse saying he's looking for gum. but also lets slip that his phone is missing and it might be in the back seat. But the cook pulls over and says, all right, look, I should have pissed at the gas station. I got to piss. You look for your phone and your gum. And he gets out of the car. And when the snitch gets out of the car, Cook pulls his revolver and shoots the snitch dead. So he does use that gun.
He also calls him Wrigley, which is very funny to me.
That
When he's
is
like,
pretty
all
funny.
right, Wrigley, let's go find your gum.
Yeah.
So at this point, the cook makes a call and just says into the phone that they have a problem. A tow driver shows up, and I had a moment where I'm like, is that former UFC fighter Keith Jardine? So I paused the movie and did a Google search, and it is indeed former UFC fighter Keith Jardine. He's the tow truck driver. This is the cameo we alluded to in the first episode during housekeeping.
Yeah, this is the guy I thought was the collector at first, but okay.
Yep.
Solid.
That's the dude.
Nice.
So he checks the car and finds a tracking unit in the wheel well. The cook gives him the gun that he used to kill the snitch, as well as an envelope full of money. And the cook and the man drive off in a completely different car. So this is the cleaner guy. This is the guy who shows up to handle bodies and hot guns and cars that need to be destroyed. Solid. Good stuff.
General cool shit.
Good for you, Keith Jardine. So we cut back to the agents. They have lost the signal from both the phone and the tracking device. And then we cut away from them back to the cook and the man arriving at a house and meeting with the keeper. The man goes to use the bathroom and freshen up, and Cook tells the keeper that the man is the one cutting their stuff, and he thinks he has a beat on what's going on and how to fix it. Keeper gives Cook another gun. Then Cook and the man load up in another vehicle towing snowmobiles, and they drive up until they ditch the car and continue on the snowmobiles. They eventually get to a point where they have to continue on foot, so they stash the snowmobiles under some tarps and throw some pine branches around them, and then continue on. When they stop for a few minutes, the man broaches the subject of the snitch getting ice, and the cook explains the snitch was a snitch, what he saw on his phone, and then confronts the man on cutting the coke, like stealing coke and running a side business, and shows him the dirty test. And the man admits that what he's doing is stealing some of the coke and cutting it with fentanyl and heroin and selling it on the side.
Okay, so a few things.
Thing the first.
Why are you putting heroin and fentanyl into their package, put baby laxatives into it like a normal fucking human being?
Whoa, hold on. So he is cutting their stuff with inert shit. That's the overcut portion that the boss references at the beginning of the film. What he's doing is he's taking the cocaine that he's stolen from the kilos, mixing it with fentanyl and heroin, and selling that as his side business.
Okay, then thing the two, he's not creating a new kind of addict. He's creating a speedball, which has killed numerous people in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. You're not making a new kind of addict. You're creating a drug that already exists.
Ain't that what killed Chris Farley?
That's what killed Chris Farley. That's what killed John Belushi. That's what killed one of my favorite artists of all time, Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Oh, I love Basquiat. He's so good.
Look, if you're
he draw the
gonna
little crown, he date the Madonna.
Oh, he was so good. It also killed Omar from The Wire.
Correct.
If you're gonna make a drug that already existed, bring back Quaaludes.
Yeah, and also he can just you don't need to figure out what to cut it. Again, in the beginning when he's just like, oh, I'm just not getting the cut right. I just got to figure it out. And it's like, no, there's already mathematical things on how to make a speedball. It's real dangerous. It's about 70% coke, 30% heroin.
And the fentanyl is just to keep it relevant?
Do not mix drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. That's the official stance of the Nick Cage Fight Podcast. Don't do any of these drugs.
I mean, my stance is smoke weed every day, but that's just me.
That's different. We're in New Jersey. It's legal.
It is legal here. And fun.
It is very fun. I don't know. So, all right, my drug using days are kind of over. What are you showing me?
Marijuana, I'm assuming.
Just bags of
Oh,
edibles.
nice. My drug use days are kind of over, so I don't know what the point of fentanyl is outside of like it is a supercharged heroin. I don't know why it's being cut in. I would assume it'd be more expensive. So why are you cutting things with fentanyl? I guess it's got to be cheaper.
I don't know. All I know about fentanyl is that
I'm gonna ask Google.
it can kill a cop just for looking at it. That's
Well, yeah, if fentanyl looks at you weird, you're gonna have convulsions on the ground.
I'm sorry, every one of those fentanyl stories it's just the Ralph Wiggum. It was like I saw Skinner and Miss Krabappel making babies, and one of the babies looked at me. I can't.
There's
I can't
our
with those
obligatory
stories.
Simpsons reference of the episode.
There you go.
Yes.
Gotta have one.
All right, I'm trying to figure out why are various drugs being laced with fentanyl. We can continue, and I will just chime in whenever I get a fucking answer.
So anyway, the man knows that this is not good. In fact, he knows that the situation is so bad that he suggests to the cook that the cook just kill him here and continue on his own, presumably to spare him from whatever punishment retribution the boss is going to hand down when all of this is revealed.
So apparently fentanyl is really cheap, which is weird because heroin is already pretty cheap.
Yeah, not for nothing. These are not drugs that afflict the upper crust of society in any significant way. It's usually just poor people whose doctors have cut off the painkillers that pharmaceutical companies have gotten them addicted to, and then they switch to street level opioids, and it's downhill from there.
Right now, unless one of our sponsors is Pfizer. If it is, then we love you, Pfizer.
Pfizer,
please.
They got what they got the cure to what ails you.
Life. That's what ails me.
Thanks, Pfizer.
Regardless, in response to this proposition, the cook says that it's not his decision to make to kill the man out here in the wilderness as they try and cross into Canada. They continue their trek and set up camp for the night. When they go to continue on in the morning, we have another weird, funny non sequitur scene where the cook is shaving with an electric razor outside the tent, and the man asks if he has a date tonight. It's weird and funny and totally disjointed. I actually like this one.
Yeah, I like that he just brought an electric razor with him.
Yeah, they continue on their trek and they ford a small river, but the man falls and his bag gets lost in the water. They follow the flow of the water to try and find the lost pack, because if they show up light this time, both the cook and the man are going to be killed. So while they're on the trail to find this bag, the cook stumbles and falls, barely catching himself on the edge of a bluff. He asks the man to pull him back up, but the man says that's not going to happen. He'll take his chances with the cartel, and totally Mufasa's the cook off the edge of this cliff.
Long live the king.
Long live the king. So alone, the man continues on and absolutely lucks out into finding the lost pack on his own. It's washed up and caught on a stick or something along the edge of this flowing water. And he continues on while he transfers all the coke into his single bag and continues on where a man in a truck is waiting for him. It's the executioner. The man explains that the cook is dead, fell off a bridge, but he has all of the coke with him, and the price per kilo ramps up to 34,000 per at this point in time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, it went from it gained $30,000 in value along the course of this trip.
Now, it's never specified if it's USD or Canadian dollars at that point, because they're in Canada now.
This is true, but it's just a dollar sign. Fun fact, Canada and the US use the same sign for monetary value, but obviously with differing actual values when weighed against the US dollar. So
As
Well, their
someone-
dollar's called the loony, so that's
As someone who sells a lot of
cooler.
comics on eBay, do not ship to Canada. They're fucking expensive.
as somebody whose day job includes handling logistics for shipping shit to Canada, shipping shit to Canada is expensive, but shipping things from Canada back to the US is so much of a headache that I am rarely required to do it for my job. We just
That
write
is
that shit
fair.
off.
As
Yeah.
somebody who used to drive a truck into Canada, getting into Canada, very, very easy. Coming back into Canada, even coming back to the United States, even with a U.S. passport, very, very, very difficult.
I have to keep that in mind
They
next time I
are
get a
assholes.
poutine craving.
They are the worst. But do you know who's not the worst? DraftKings.com. Spend all of your money at DraftKings.com. Definitely do not call 1-800-GAMBLER because they will just tell you to not chase your losses. But you got to know that you're due for a big win. So just keep pumping money into it because you're due for a win, baby. You're due.
I hope the ad
satire,
break
satire,
is,
satire.
I hope the ad break is for Canada. Vacation to beautiful Vancouver.
Higher average ABV in their beer. You gotta love Canada.
And their poutine is just so much better. Like you
Ah.
order some poutine in America, they're just going to throw some beef and melted cheddar onto your French fries.
Hey,
Yeah, man.
hey. Before you get in that slander, in Jersey we have disco fries.
I was gonna
and
say
they're
we
solid.
have disco fries.
Disco fries are
are
good.
a distinct and excellent branch off of the evolution of poutine.
Yes. It's Canada by way of Jersey.
But by specifically way of New Jersey roller rinks.
Yeah. In fact, my favorite disco fries are from a bowling alley near me. I swear to God, it's the best disco fries I've ever had. Bowling alley.
Huh. Also go to patreon.com/Nick Cage Fight to avoid these ads for DraftKings, Gold, and
Canada, the
and Dick
Amish,
Pills.
and dick pills.
Welcome back, non-Patreon subscriber losers.
We love you guys too. It's fine.
I'm just gonna berate people until our Patreon numbers go up. Like that's fine, right?
Yeah, that's
Like-
correct. To
Like
do.
I can dom them into spending money, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a thing. I feel like usually it's women doing this to them that they appreciate.
Yeah, we got to get like a female voice in here to like call these dudes cucks and have them open their wallets.
I'm sorry, brief aside, it just reminded me of a Gillian Keeves bit where a guy calls to complain about his mattress and the dude's telling him to just jerk off before he goes to sleep. And the guy gets really pissed off. He's like, I want to talk to your manager, and his manager's a woman. And he's like, yeah, you guys just like telling me to what to do. And the lady's like, oh, well, do you want me to tell you what to do? And like the next scene is the dude passing out on his bed. Very funny bit. Shout out to canceled comedian Shane Gillis. But continuing on from here, the next scene that we get is the boss, the executioner, and the man are all in the same room now with the coke laid out on the table. Fun fact: the boss is in the middle of a phone call when the man enters the room and says, "Speak of the devil." He just walked in. It's gonna play into the story a little bit later. So the boss sends the man back to the hotel, tells him to clean up and relax, and they'll square up tomorrow night at the club. The man buys a fresh ass new suit. It looks great and walks into the club, but through the kitchen. This is the secondary opening scene that we saw. It is Fishburne's back that we are following through the club. We get another glimpse of him handing over a baggie of drugs to Sinead O'Connor. And then
Just
heads
like
up.
the opening of the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And then he heads upstairs and the escorted by the executioner, and the man is providing an explanation of the unfortunate circumstances of the cook's demise. The boss tells him that he's made quite an impression down south and that a plane is coming to take the man back down south tomorrow. So the man goes back to his hotel and walks through the lobby, and it's relatively clear that there are some undercover agents keeping an eye on him at this point. But he's awoken in the middle of the night to a knock on the door, and it's the executioner who tells him he has 5 minutes to get ready and it's time to go. Instead of going out through the lobby, the executioner leads him to the service elevator, and that's how they leave. From here, we cut to a special agent in charge, as well as several other agents who are not as in charge, and they appear to be staking out an airfield of some sort. The man and the executioner roll up. Agent in charge recognizes him, but the real uppity Canadian security guards, police members, or whatever, will not let them through to stop the plane from taking off. Some good old fashioned Canada versus US politics. I'm by no means a foreign policy expert, but I'm not sure if this would really go down this way. I feel like the Canada and the US have a pretty cooperative relationship when it comes to shit like this.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. I'm fairly certain we don't have non-extradition with fucking Canada or anything like that.
Oh, we definitely don't. Everybody would just go to Canada. Regardless, the special agent in charge cannot get through to stop the plane, so she takes a short video of both the man and the executioner as they get on the plane to leave. From here, the special agent in charge goes to confront the boss in his office. In fact, the same room that the boss, the executioner, and the man were sitting with a pile of coke not 24 hours previous. The boss denies and deflects as far as knowing the man or one of his shell companies owning the plane that the man took off in. The conversation doesn't go really well, and special agent in charge even spits on the boss's floor.
What a badass.
Yeah, it's badass, but I don't think the scene is as poignant as they wanted it to come
No,
across.
it's not badass. She's just petty and mad. And again, is she supposed to be the good guy?
To an extent, but actually, when we get to the end, I'm going to explain what I think this movie's take is on this whole conversation. So I don't know if there are really any good guys here. Like I said,
okay, because I
fair.
think I have my own take on it, but you can obviously go first, and then I'll give my take.
Yeah, the main character in this film is cocaine. That's the main character.
Yeah.
It's not any of the actors.
True.
But I'll get
wins.
to that after we wrap. So we cut back to the executioner and the man leaving a hotel together. They go to the warehouse with the oil drums where the coke is cut, and the executioner restrains the man from behind, sort of choking him out. And this is where we learn, full circle, the man is the guy in the beginning of the movie cuffed to the toilet, and we know how that proceeds from here. But before this, we cut to the executioner at a bar, and he's reading a book titled Corporate Leadership. This is the book the cook was reading at the very beginning of the film as well. Again, it's a callback, but I think a callback is supposed to be relevant in some fashion, and this does not appear to be. I just thought it was fucking funny.
Yeah.
He pays and goes to leave, but we see that special agent not in charge is in the bar as well, keeping an eye on the executioner. So the executioner goes back to where the man is being held. This is where he walks into the bathroom with the canister, which is the same sort of like home pesticide spray thing that you can get where you pump it and it'll spray out liquid. And he uses this to wake up the man who's beat up and cuffed to the toilet. He
also cut off his tattoo, which is weird.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean that I guess is like a gang thing to a certain extent.
But like he's not moving. Like he's clearly still alive.
Yeah, he reacts very calmly to having part of his flesh carved off.
Yeah, like I thought at that point, I'm like, oh, he's dead.
You'd think, but no. He's just like really badass and resistant to pain. But when they bring him out and cuff him to ineffectually to this cross set of steel beams, the bag on the man's head is pulled off, and it's the cook. He's there staring at him. Turns out that little tiny tumble off of a cliff is not enough to kill somebody as physically fit as the cook. He is on crutches, but still. We cut back to just after the fall. He is clearly hurt, but calls for help. The funniest part of this is he's like, He's screaming. He's in pain. He pulls out like a satellite phone. And then when he goes and presses the button to make the call, he's like, like his fingers fucking broken too.
That's what I thought. I figured okay, this is my take on this scene is that the director was told Nick Cage that like you survive the fall, so you're gonna take out the cell phone and you're gonna make the call to say that the cook's dirty. And Nick Cage said, "That doesn't make any fucking sense. Like all my bones would be broken." Because it looks like a very undirected scene. It looks like something that Nick Cage just did to try to pull this together. That was my take on this, at least, because he is moving as if every bone in his arms and legs are shattered.
It's just so funny, the cry of pain when he presses a button with one of his fingers. You have 10 fucking fingers, you have 2 hands. All of the fingers are broken. You didn't press the button with an unbroken finger. Amazing. Solid. Solid shit. That's why he's the man. That's why we have this podcast about him. It's decisions like this, baby. So he manages to make the call, and also this is apparently the call that the boss receives right before the man comes in, which the timing on that doesn't actually really add up in any way, shape, or form, but whatever. The cook is the one that lights the fire to the gasoline-soaked pallet himself and hobbles away on crutches as the man begins to burn alive. In a final act of mercy, the cook shoots him dead before he burns to death.
Which doesn't make any sense. Like, what's the point of burning him at that point?
The only way I can think of is exactly what Josh just said, that it was an act of mercy. The boss wanted him to burn alive, and Nick Cage was just like, this dude sucks, but he doesn't deserve this.
Yeah. That's how I looked at it. It was real shades of Game of Thrones, Jon Snow shit. But we also at this point, as the man burns, Agent Not in Charge has followed them to this warehouse and watches the human burning from around a corner. Next up, we see the cook washing his hands in the airport bathroom while Agent Not in Charge is at the sink right next to him. And then we cut to the cook arriving home, and we now see that his wife is pregnant, in the terminal stages of a pregnancy, it looks like. She makes him tea, and he takes off his lucky necklace. And then we cut to Agent in Charge entering the cook's diner. She walks right back into the kitchen and pulls her badge on the cook, who's still on crutches. They sit down at the table across from each other in the back of the house of this restaurant. And Agent in Charge gives a little speech where she sort of laments the quicksandy nature of the war on drugs. She even explicitly states that it doesn't matter how many times they catch people or take them out, there's still going to be somebody just like him to continue the process. So finally, the cook asks if she's going to arrest him. She says no, right before shooting him like 4 times in the chest. The cook slumps over and she collects her shell casings and then leaves the cook dead in the back of his restaurant, and the credits start to roll. We got a post-credit scene.
Oh no, I missed this.
Did you really?
Yeah, I didn't see
the post-credit it pulled scene. A Return of the King on us.
Okay,
God, so damn it.
This cements my reading of this film. We cut back to Colombia and the farmer's family. The farmer sets off on another trek to Bogota, and only now we see that his backpack has a green ribbon on it instead of a pink one. And then again, he turns and the backpack has a yellow ribbon on it, and then a red ribbon. And then the credits continue for real from here.
It was all right. Movie's
all right. I'm watching the fucking
the post-credit scene.
The post-credit scene now.
How else are you going to know what they're going to introduce in the next film in the cocaine cinematic universe?
Yeah, I mean, I have to know.
There are definitely better movies about cocaine out there. I will 100%. Say that.
Oh, that's literally all
Blow,
it is.
21 grams. Okay. That one segment of Lord of War where the dude snorts the line of cocaine shaped like Ukraine.
I agree. The
fucking Boogie Nights.
Yeah. This movie made an honest attempt, in my opinion. It did some things well. It did individual bits well. There was little bits that I liked, and then most of the rest of it was sort of it didn't quite get across the finish line with some of the shit it was going for. Like I said, like we have a callback that leads to nothing. We have scenes that aren't referenced ever again or explained that directly contradict other scenes that occur later in the film. There's a lot of stuff here that is sort of a wild mishmash. And again, there's a bunch of other films that do this exact thing, but better. The one thing I will give it credit for is my read on it. And it starts immediately with the naming of all the characters. Nobody is given an actual proper first name and last name. They're all just the names of the roles they play in this ongoing war on drugs. You know, the cook is probably the biggest misnomer here because he's just essentially cocaine middle management. And then there's some overly hyped names like the executioner, who I think is responsible for maybe one death in
I
the
think it's
course
just
of the
one.
film.
Yeah,
The boss is aptly named. The man is the most aptly named.
he
of
is
course.
so well
Yeah.
named. And I mean, we mentioned it before. Lawrence
and you have
Fishburne
Agent
is
in
really
Charge.
like the best thing about this movie.
100%. By the way, if we haven't emphasized this enough, his performance is fucking effortless and amazing. The most depth that you're going to see on the screen throughout the entire runtime of the film, top to bottom, amazing. Not knocking that. But I think the point that the film was making, which unfortunately I think they got a little too ham-fisted at the very end with Agent in Charge essentially laying out the moral of the story, is that none of the actions in the film are going to do anything to overly impact this machine that's going to continue rolling on. And the post-credit scene is what hammers that home. They should have honestly cut her bit about being nihilistic about the war on drugs and just had her off the cook kind of more unceremoniously, and then do your, I mean, you don't even have to make it a post-credit scene. It could be the last scene of the film, is the farmer just clearly making 5 more trips with this bag of drugs that we know is going to make it all the way through to its ultimate destination in Canada. So yeah, a nihilistic critique of the war on drugs, great, sure, fantastic. I'm here for that kind of message. Random unnamed letter agency doing like full on torture of American citizens with no pushback or further explanation is kind of far-fetched, at least to a certain extent. And a lot of other elements of this, again, with the whole scheme from the get-go, Rich pointed out, doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But hey, we've reviewed worse films on this podcast. I'll take this one.
Yeah, we definitely have. I still take this as the only way to win the war on drugs is by, essentially doing a Philippines. I take that off of who wrote and directed it, the company that, paid for the movie, plus, there is a hero of the movie. And I know that, like, we can say that, cocaine is the main character, which quite honestly it is, but there is a hero, and it's law enforcement, because at the end of the day, they're the ones who are trying to stop these deaths in the movie. And the only way that they're able to do that is by literally murdering people and by torturing people into doing what they want.
See, my only pushback against that here is that this movie specifically is a completely nihilistic view of the unwinnable nature of the war on drugs in the first place. And to top it all off, the only bad thing about this cocaine that we saw in this film was some asshole cutting it with heroin and fentanyl to try and make money on the side. That was what was killing people, not the cocaine itself. So whatever the business the boss was doing, quite frankly, was a picture of capitalism. There's supply, or he's supplying the demand, and until somebody starts mucking with the process, it's not killing people. So I find it hard to picture the boss as an explicit villain and the agent in charge who just tortures some dude and murders somebody in cold blood, at the end as any sort of hero figure. I still think cocaine is the main star and the hero of the film.
Right, and with the character of the boss, I feel like they gave him a lot of villain archetypes of the creme brulee scene. To me, is like kind of a generic thing that you would give a villain, like a villain who like really enjoys food and says, how simple it is. I feel like we've seen this villain before, and we've also seen this hero before, like Jessica Chastain in Zero Dark 30 is
I think
kind
it
of a
was
similar character.
I think it's more like Wahlberg in The Departed, since I already referenced that in the recording of this episode. Like your shit doesn't play out right, so you just take out the bad guy at the end.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna shout out The Departed, we got to shout out the movie it's based on, Infernal Affairs, which is
There you
a
go.
great fucking film. Departed's good too, but Infernal Affairs is next level if you haven't seen it.
Also,
yeah, it's definitely a B tier Scorsese film.
Yeah, yeah.
To further comment on the boss, I thought his character kind of sucked. Like the owner of that ranch was way more badass and terrifying than the boss. The boss literally never did anything, and his big scary henchman only killed one dude.
Well, I think he was supposed to just be the bank. Like, he doesn't need to be scary. He's the money man.
Yeah, but he leans on the cook and sends him on this whole thing in the first place, and he has the big scary enforcer. But the most terrifying character in the entirety of the film is the ranch owner.
Oh, yeah, because he's the most unhinged.
Yeah. Also does, very casual murder. Like the violent element of the drug trade is exemplified in this one character. The cook is a pseudo professional, like Gus Fring style, all about the business type thing, but he never does anything overtly ruthless. Besides killing the snitch, and even that was more cold blooded than anything that the executioner did, up until he cut a tattoo off of a living human being. But even that was really lackluster. So I think they missed the critical points that they were going for in a lot of these scenes, where they could have really upped the ante and fleshed out these additional characters that they gave badass names to, and it just didn't work out. I think overall it's a mediocre film where they stuck the landing on the point they were trying to get across, at least insofar as it's very obvious to the watcher the point that they were trying to get across, which is that the individual elements of the drug war are not important. The important part is the drug and people wanting to do it. And somebody will always be willing to take the risks to facilitate the supply side of that.
Well, you know what? Well, you know what I think?
What do you think?
I think it's time to talk about another movie, because we have one more movie before we have a ranking episode.
All right, what do you got for us?
What I have for you is a newer Nick Cage movie, a Nick Cage movie released this year, in fact. And it is not The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. I am sorry to say, it's The Old Way.
Oh, is that a Western? I like
that's the Western that apparently was bad, but I still kind of want to say it because I like Westerns.
I mean, we're contractually obligated to see it at some point.
Yeah.
So
yeah, we have to watch it at some point. And some people say that the old ways are the best ways. I'm not one of those people, but some people say that. I'll watch Nick Cage in a fucking Western flick.
Yeah. He's very much about that.
He's clean shaven in the poster, but just taking a quick peek at the trailer, it looks like he has a sweet big ass mustache in certain scenes.
Oh, you gotta love a big ass mustache on Cage.
I do. It's a big one too. It's a solid fucking stash, man.
Really, any facial hair on Nick Cage is good facial hair. Like the acid yellow facial hair was great.
That was pretty good, yeah.
Acid yellow is also the most prosthetics I've ever seen that man in general.
I want an acid yellow movie.
Oh shit, this has Clint Howard in it. Hell yeah, Clint Howard.
Can we write to Nick Cage and ask him just for an acid yellow movie?
I mean, maybe.
I hope so.
It was his directorial debut. He might.
Yeah, like listen, just
might be really sympathetic to that.
Just cut out the Franco. Give us acid yellow.
That would have made that a much, much, much better film from start to finish. Oh, this might be something, guys.
Oh no.
I don't know. Just taking a quick peek at the director and writer. Yeah. The writer's done 4 other films total.
Oh no.
Uh,
Let's see what they are.
the director has directed 9 films.
It's never good that when I pull up a Wikipedia page, the director does not have his own page, the writer does not have his own page, half of the cast don't have their own page.
Yeah.
This is not looking to be great, but hey, we've been wrong before.
We have you know what? We're gonna cover it anyway. We're gonna do our best to spin this into a little bit of gold that is interesting to listen to. But yeah, we'll do oh, and the director has an acting role in this film too.
Ooh, gotta love it. Speaking of firearm safety, though, it seems like October 2021, the film's crew members complained about property key assistant in armor. Hannah Gutierrez Reed's handling of firearms, including an incident in which she discharged a weapon without warning and caused lead actor Nicolas Cage to walk off set.
Oh, huh.
Oh no. Gutierrez Reed would later work as the armor on the set of Rust.
No.
Oh no. Ooh, that's not great.
Oh no.
And be a principal character in the shooting that killed, I forget her name, Helena Hutchins, I think. And wounded
Helena
director.
Hutchins,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Oh boy.
Oof.
Woofa doofa.
Yeah, I really just brought this whole thing down. Sorry about that.
Yeah, that's a fucking bummer. Topical, but otherwise bleak. But hey, we'll watch it. Nobody was harmed in the making of this film. So yeah, I'm gonna try and not let that dampen my mood going into a Nick Cage Western film.
No, I'm still gonna watch the shit out of it.
Hell yeah. All right. There we go. We made it through another one. Everyone. Running with the Devil.
Not
It's
bad. Like it's definitely
real mediocre.
Of the direct to DVD Cage movies, of which I'm counting essentially Kill Chain and Between Worlds and the Humanity Bureau.
Yeah.
I think Pay the Ghost was too.
Pay the Ghost. This is a solid mid tier. It's obviously better than Pay the Ghost.
Oh yeah,
it's much better than the one that I've already forgotten its name, Humanity Bureau. There's such a forgettable movie.
Kind of like Humanity Bureau a little bit more than this one.
I did like Humanity Bureau narrative wise more than this one.
I liked this more than Humanity Bureau.
This movie did not have a dude staunching his eye wound with a piece of bread.
That was so fucking absurd.
But this does have Lawrence Fishburne thinking that he's invented the speedball.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the just the whole scene of him snorting coke while a whole wild night passes behind him. Props to that specifically. But yeah, Fishburne, if it wasn't for Fishburne, man, this movie would have sucked pretty hard. Not gonna lie.
I agree.
Yeah, he definitely saved the movie.
All right. Well, while you're waiting with bated breath for our next episode where we talk about a likely shitty Western movie, follow us on social media. You can find us on Twitter at cagefight_pod, for instance.
You can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/NickCageFight, where for $3 a month, you can listen to every single episode without these pesky ads. You also get other things such as really nothing else. No, I'm kidding, because we have done Patreon episodes. We watch Nick Cage adjacent movies, such as The Wrestler, coming soon.
Yeah, we're gonna do The Wrestler real soon. Apparently, we're gonna do the Twilight movies at some point.
There's a lot of things we can do. We're going to be doing a live stream at some point as soon as I kind of figure out the logistics.
Also, when we figure out the logistics, a firm handshake to every Patreon subscriber. We'll figure that
so
one out.
What I was actually going to do was I found these like super sick Nick Cage birthday cards. Ooh. And if you sign up for the $3 tier, you can do one of two things. Send us your birthday, and we'll send you a birthday card on your birthday. If you don't want to do that, we'll send it to you on Nick Cage's birthday.
There you go. Very, very solid. That sounds like a great deal. I might subscribe myself. Also, we do have certain numbers that we're looking for, and when we get there, we will impose some sort of poetic punishment on your favorite hosts. Ryan has volunteered his sanity to set the record for the speed run of the G-Force video game.
I'll
We're
do it
coming
to
for
me.
you. We're coming for you, Chris Gamer.
We are.
I love
We
you, Chris.
absolutely are.
At 30, we did what? Josh has to watch next, like for 6 times in a row or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, it has to be on for a full day off, and I can't distract myself from what's on the screen. So
We're gonna Ludovico method you.
yeah, it's
Tied to a chair, eyes wide open.
Absolutely. I'm gonna record my descent into madness via live journal. I'll likely live tweet it from the account. It's gonna be awful. I'm gonna hate it, and I will probably never be the same again afterwards. So,
and I don't have a punishment yet. We're gonna do it at 20. We haven't really figured out the thing that makes me go yuck yet.
Yeah, we haven't pinned down a film that you have had a complete, like, visceral negative reaction to yet.
Yeah,
For me, it was G-Force. For Josh, it was next.
yeah,
right. For like, because the bad movies so far, they haven't been bad. It's going to end up being one of the horror movies for me. One of the horror movies are going to like fuck me up somehow.
I bet you're not going to like Mandy very much. I loved Mandy.
I love Mandy too.
It'll probably be something Mandy related when we get there, because that is
Make you eat a box of cheddar goblin.
I don't know what that means.
We didn't watch the episode yet.
I don't know what that means, but I probably won't like it.
Yeah, no, depending on how bad your reaction is to Mandy, your tier on the Patreon is going to give you 2/8 of mushrooms, and you're gonna have to watch Mandy.
I mean, that's thematically appropriate for that movie, though.
Oh no, can't I just do ketamine instead?
No,
it's gonna have to be a strong hallucinogen. We're gonna actually have to hire extra spotters to babysit you during it, because it's gonna get dark quick.
Yeah.
Can't I just watch it from a K-hole instead?
No, that's
so much
too
more
simple.
enjoyable.
No, this is the Patreon tiers are supposed to be our descent through Dante's version of hell, buddy. It's supposed to be poetic and appropriate punishment.
Oh God. All right, I'm having second thoughts about y'all subscribing to Patreon.
Subscribe. He's faltering, guys. This is where we get him.
I'm faltering hard. This is where y'all can really fuck me up.
Hey, look, we'll see. If you like Mandy for some reason, we're gonna just have to switch to loading you up with gas station dick pills and making you watch Between Worlds on repeat.
That's not a punishment. That's a Saturday.
No, you're gonna have to do that once a week for every weekend in No Nut November. You can't jerk off during it.
Damn it! Even those super sexy dead wife scenes.
Oh, the dead wife scenes, the erotic memoir scenes, all of the sexy scenes. All right, I think we have done this to death. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, for this run with the devil, and we'll see you next time. And as always, listeners, we appreciate you.
Bye-bye.